Immigration was the hot topic in Washington this week. The Senate's so-called Gang of Eight put out their compromise idea for comprehensive reform. They're calling for beefing up border security before doing anything else. Along those lines, their plan calls for 20,000 more border agents, 700 miles of fence along the Mexican border, and $3.2 billion in technology upgrades. Joining me now is CNN contributor Maria Cardona and Amy Holmes, anchor for Real News on the Blaze. So the Gang of Eight said that the increased border security should get enough Republican support to get passed. Amy, what do you think? Is that the winning strategy?
Well, the strategy is to get 70 votes in the Senate. So that would be 55 Democrats plus all the extra Republicans. But I spoke with Senator Mike Lee this week, and he's skeptical that they're going to get to that number, partly because of the structure, the architecture of this bill, of this deal. You said that Republicans said this will be the trigger for legalization of the bill. Well, in fact, that's not the case. Legalization comes first, then border security. And a lot of Republicans, they said, you know what, we've been down this road before, no pun intended, and border security never happens. So in order to get Republicans on board, particularly in the House, they're going to want to see that this border security actually happens.
Maria, what do you think?
Well, I think certainly that this gives momentum to the bill in the Senate, which we needed. And it also takes away a huge talking point that Republicans have used, that Democrats don't care about border security, when in fact this deal was a Democratic idea. It came from Senator Schumer. I am skeptical, not because it won't happen, but because it's complete and utter overkill. This represents, Allison, militarization of the southern border at a point where the border has been more secure than ever. But I think it does represent a huge problem for Republicans, especially in the House, because they can't now talk about that there is no border security, and they can't now talk about the fact that this bill will actually cost money because of the CBO numbers that came out saying that this bill will actually reduce the deficit by $1 trillion over the next 20 years. So Republicans are in a muddle here.
Okay, Amy, John Boehner says he's not ready to bring immigration to a vote because there's not enough Republican support. Even if the Senate gets their version done, what do you think are the chances that the House and ultimately the president, gets on board?
Well, I sort of think it's fascinating that Maria said that this amendment for border security was Mr. Schumer's amendment. He's a Democrat from New York, when in fact it was written by two Republicans. So that sort of undercuts the whole Republican support for the bill. Again, Republicans are saying, look, in 1986, Ronald Reagan, he signed into amnesty in order to get border security. That never happened. The 700-mile, fence along that border, that's already been, the money's already been given over by Congress. That's never been built. So again, the opposition to this bill on the right happens to be because border security never happens. As much as Democrats say that they want it, Maria just said it's militarization of our border. Meanwhile, we militarize borders all over the world, including Afghanistan and Iraq. So does this mean that border security is really a partisan issue? Again, back in the House, Mr. Boehner has said he's not going to pass an immigration bill that doesn't have majority Republican support. So even if Republicans come over the fence, so to speak, on this immigration bill in the Senate, it's very let me say I'm skeptical if this democratically driven bill, as Maria described, is going to be able to get passed in the House.
Let me switch. Go ahead.
I didn't say it was a Democratic bill. I said it was a Democratic idea because
you said the amendment was written by Chuck Schumer, when in fact it was written by John Hoeven and
I said it was
Schumer's.
I said it was Schumer's idea. I said it was Schumer's idea because
correct.
He
I'm
wants
glad that you put it out there because it was Republicans who wrote the amendment.
To give Republicans what they are asking for. And in fact, Republicans are getting almost everything that they want here. And John Boehner is in a huge box because he either has to show leadership and do what is right for the country. Majorities of Americans believe this is the right thing to do. And
majorities
it is good
want
for the
border
economy.
Security. You just called it militarization.
Exactly. And border security is actually in there now in a way that it has never been there before. So Republicans have no excuse. And if they don't do this, they can say goodbye to the White House for the next 50 years.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks so much for your time, Maria Cardona and Amy Holmes.
Thanks so much, Allison.